Howdy there, folks and cowpokes, and today we have another episode of the Sorta podcast. As you can see, this is episode 6, and I am joined once again by the creature, the great evil.
No. Does this creature have a name?
He has gone by many names. Danny Shack, 2018. He's gone by he's gone by Deathstroke 11, I believe, but most know him as Dan or Daniel Shakespeare.
Alright. Getting all the names out there. So yeah, glad to be back. Already like 6 or 7 episodes in. Really liking this new format.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We've been making sure to keep things fun and fresh on the Sorta podcast. But anyways,
kick us off with a fun and fresh topic, Melody.
Yeah, so we should fly to our first topic, which is the Flight of Dragons, which is
Flight of Dragons. Sorry.
Oh yeah, this is an old obscure Rankin Bass animated movie. I believe it was a TV movie initially. Yeah, it was, because it's got like the TV cutaways, even in like the DVD version.
Yeah.
But
and the most commonly available version online, at the very least, is if you don't like what's it called? Like if you're not renting it from YouTube, which I think is like the widescreen version that they put out later on DVD, it is actually the TV cut, which is the 4:3 thing, which was later on VHS.
Yeah, but it's actually full screen.
So we were wrong. Okay, good to know.
But this is a movie that I have history with. I remember watching this as like a 13-year-old and then forgetting mostly about it, but it being like one of those fever dream memories. Where it's just like I know there was a movie with like these plot points. I'm not going to get into the spoilers right away, but we'll let you know once we actually do. And then I was like, every time I've tried looking into it, I'll forget like what it is called. Or, you know, like I just have had trouble finding it. A couple of months ago, I was looking into Rankin Bass, and I was like, huh, they have a movie called The Flight of Dragons. I wonder if that sounds like the one I was thinking of. Because I've always thought it was like War of Dragons or some shit like that. But I looked into it and I was like, oh yeah, this is the thing I was thinking of, I think. And then I was like looking more into it and I was like, definitely this is the one I was thinking of.
And then she made me watch it.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know, we should do this as a topic on something. That something ended up being Sorta. As you can see. But it says on here that it's based on the original book, but there are actually 2 books that it's based off of. The book called The Flight of Dragons, which is just using... It's based on that one in that it tries to take a more realistic approach to how dragons work, and also the name and the character designs of the dragons. That's what it's pulling from. But the actual movie, like the storyline, is based off of a different book with a different name. I'm pulling that up right now to see what it is again.
Dragon and the George.
Yeah, Dragon in the George by Gordon R. Dixon. Um, so yeah, this is a movie from 1982. So you may wonder why we're deciding to discuss this today. Why we were like, oh yeah, this is actually a good enough topic. People are really gonna be in on this 1982 TV animated movie from Rankin Bass Pictures that no one's talking about. And that's because this movie is kind of weird and I love it, but it also has like a bunch of obvious flaws to it. But also, the main villain is voiced by James Earl Jones, the seducer of darkness.
The great Omadon, who, as we all know, the world is his, and he is the world. And that does not work actually if you replace Omadon with like a pronoun actually. So no, but
say the correct thing, I guess. Then.
Yeah. I am the world, and the world is Omadon. I don't have the voice either. I'm sorry, we're kind of ruining this podcast. That being said, Flight of Dragons is it is a very interesting film. I think that Melody like hit the nail on the head there because it sets up a very very classically told like fantasy adventure, not too dissimilar from Star Wars or Lord of the Rings in the sense that there's a very clear mission statement set out in the opening 10 minutes, and the rest of the runtime is devoted to the heroes trying to solve that statement, right? Except the film does, unlike arguably Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, the film does not really like attempt to like actually solve that problem or like do anything interesting with the thing. It's really just a setup to bring in the main character, who's like a person in our world, into the fantasy world, and hijinks ensue.
He is Isekai Ben Shapiro.
Okay, so spoilers from now on. Alright.
Well, we should actually say some of the general
relevant.
stuff, though. We should say some of the general stuff that's cool about it, I think. Like, the animation is fucking gorgeous as hell. Also, this fucking rip
The
on...
animation's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The music is so good. The music is so good. Like, the entire Flight of Dragons song that Don McLean sings at the beginning is great. But, like, the score in general is just really good.
Yeah, this is... And also, Omadon is a fucking amazing antagonist. And not just because of James Earl Jones' amazing performance, but also because of his character design.
Mostly because of that, let's be honest.
No, like, not mostly. I would say the character design is fucking... Like, this has been burned into my mind ever since I watched it as a kid. Like, his design, and also just, like, how he talks is so fucking metal. We've already quoted a couple of his lines because they're just so fucking good. Like...
And the more memorable lines in the film.
Like, look at his eyes. Oh.
True. I don't want to front load this with praise and then just completely batter the film though, which is why I don't want to like keep gushing about it too much right now. That being said, yeah, it's a gorgeous looking film. There are some shots specifically where like the titular Flight of Dragons happen and you see like these thousands of hand-drawn creatures sweep across the sky. And it's gorgeous. It's also very clearly what How to Train Your Dragon took inspiration from when it had a very similar shot in the first film. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. Like, it's a very interesting film aesthetically, if nothing else, and it has some very interesting ideas in the story as well, which are worth getting into.
Yeah, I will say if you love the animated adaptation of The Last Unicorn, which is also a Rankin Bass production, this is not as good. Clearly not as good as the Rankin Bass The Last Unicorn. But it is also that kind of, it's for kids, but it's like a lot more dark than a lot of, you know, kids animation would be, especially nowadays. It goes to some places that, now I say this as like, you know, that character design pops up, but it's like, just this fucking face, this skull from where Omadon is based out of, is just, you would not see that in any Disney movie now, or any, probably ever outside of the Black Cauldron. And it's just got like,
or like outside Japanese works, because like Ghibli like have always had this thing of like having an actual edge to their children films for the most
yeah, but like mainstream ones
in
and
the West, yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays you would not get this from like, and Rankin Bass was an international studio, so that makes sense why
yeah,
they have
I mean, like I bring up Ghibli, right? A lot of the people who would form Ghibli worked on the not Snowman, sorry, on The Last Unicorn.
amazing.
So, yeah.
The Last Unicorn, one of the greatest animated films of all time. I think that's inarguable. But the Flight of Dragons is like a clear and decisive step down from that, like the pinnacle of Rankin Bass. But it's definitely much more interesting than their oh wait, probably shouldn't go to this one. That's a spoilery clip. Like, I'm trying to fucking see. Okay, this is another Omadon just being fucking badass as fuck and doing his fucking, I will make the humanity fucking turn on itself. I have the power of.
Oh, okay, no, we have to get to spoilers now, Mel, because like this is like main gripe with the film, is that the opening is so goddamn good. So essentially, like I said, the film is all about these heroes trying to like go on this major quest to go to a specific place, which is required to stop the villain Omadon, right? Here it's because Omadon wants to like use magic to turn the how do I describe it? It's to use magic to turn the humans' like appetite for science against them and then rule them through evil. And it has one of the greatest images ever of like one of those appliances turning into a nuclear bomb, and that being the thematic link of like how science could also be absolute evil, right? This does not come up ever again outside the introduction. And it builds on to the climactic ending of the film when little Ben Shapiro Jr. pops up and starts rapping to fucking Omadon about the virtues of biology and history.
He just starts. He just goes like facts. He's just like,
Yeah.
Here are facts. Did you know that
the Earth is round or something like that? I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Get the fuck out of here.
Hey Omadon, did you know that a triangle has 3 angles?
Yeah, he does some shit like that. He said like he talks about the Pythagorean theorem or something. You're just like, bro, who asked? Oh god.
And then Omadon's like, no!
Not your facts. Which again is like defeating the entire point of Omadon's stasis was like to use science and to use facts to turn the human mindset into like an evil one. It's just a complete clusterfuck by the end, unfortunately.
To fuck with his ethos is more kind of like, I will destroy, like I'll get them to turn on each other to where they will use their science against each other.
Yeah.
Like,
proceeds to not understand triangles and then get so dumb. Like,
and then he explodes himself.
He literally explodes. And it's made even worse because it actually sets up a very, very interesting finale from a regular genre standpoint as well, not even with the philosophical shit. So there's like this acid lake or something, and they all cross it, which is probably one of the best I think is the best set piece in the film. It's when
There's
they
like
have
the
all
worm.
those like weird tentacles and stuff. It's really cool. And then you have the actual fight of dragons, which happens, and then they all start attacking them, and the entire like merry band of troops die one by one, and it's kind of sad because like it's the end of the movie, and it's like, all right, they could die here, they're probably gonna die, but they don't die. They come back to life 5 minutes after he defeats Omadon, and
It's
it's just like, oh god.
it's like I forgot. Like I remember that all of the characters die in the final thing, except for Mr. Facts and Logic Boy, but I completely forgot that they come back at the end, which kind of defeats the argument for that from a writing perspective of this is a kids movie, you gotta end it on like a light note, because even as a kid, like it completely exited my mind the fucking boring ass decision of bringing them all back.
Yeah.
But I remember that they all die. Like I remember they get fucking murdered.
Yeah,
Left and right.
Not only that, like, what's the only emotional moment that does register in the entire film is when a dead character stays dead. There's like a dragon helper character who's very old, who dies midway through the film after like a dragon fight, which unfortunately isn't as exciting as it sounds. It is a kids film. It's not animated to the same standard as everything else. But like, the character dies and like he has his big sad speech at the end. It works. It's a good moment. And I don't know, I think kids movies should have that like degree of sadness to them. It always helps sell the thing. That's why I think you have, Spielberg films and Joe Dante films still like hold up to this day, even though they were made around the same time in the 80s and the 90s, right? They still hold up today because they always have that like element of tragedy which leads to the hero overcoming that foe and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's still the fact that it even goes there and even has the characters dying at all. Just you would not see that now, at least not outside. Not outside
No,
of.
you might be right. Yeah. Like I don't know, because I was about to say Big Hero 6 is a very similar example, right? When they have all the characters like about to die, and it's very clearly like if the movie was rated any higher, they would have been dead. But like because it's a kids movie, they're all about to die, and then you have the hero save the day. But then I remember they actually do have a sacrifice scene in that film. It's when like the plushy robot thing, Baymax or whatever, like when he gives his life. So I don't know what you think about that film,
but then Baymax comes back at the end, anyways.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
So they kind of did the same thing, except it wasn't the same because they didn't kill off like everyone. Like the whole movie of The Flight of Dragons is them getting together like this party, this party of adventurers.
Oh god, yeah. And then they get the party adventures like literally like about 5-10 minutes after they get the last one. They kill all of them, and then 5 minutes after that, they bring them all back.
It's like they just get fucking bodied, and it's like, holy shit. Because that establishes the stakes. It's like, holy shit, like, this dude's fucked. And then immediately afterwards, he's just like, hey, did you know that a quadrilateral is a shape which has 4 sides? And then Omadon's like, no!
Oh god.
My feeble, dumb brain!
Oh god. You just make up like random facts and just like dub it into that, like, it would just be the funniest thing ever.
Did you know it's not actually called a nuclear bomb? It's called a nuclear bomb? Oh god, no!
Did you know Injustice 2 is actually the best NRS game?
That one, he would actually get a larger brain, his brain would get like massive. He would have the swollest fucking brain ever.
Okay. But yeah, The Flight of Dragons. It's a very, very interesting film. It's like, despite everything we've said, but like, this is kind of why I wanted to go to spoilers about early, because I didn't want to like just keep like hammering the film, because it does get a lot worse as it goes on.
Well,
But,
even when it gets to that point, it still has an amazing voice cast, and it still looks gorgeous as fuck. And
it looks gorgeous, and sounds great as well. Like the music is gorgeous.
you could just turn it off after he defeats Omadon, and it would be a better movie for it. But even then, like, the music's amazing at that point.
Oh, you know when you should turn it off, Mel? You should turn it off before he fights Obadon, when they're all dead. Alright, sad ending, good.
They all die. Well, even if you have him beating Omadon, it still is like a somber ending, because it's like, yeah, he won, but at what cost?
It's only after beating Obadon that they all come, right? They come out there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just like he uses the power of friendship to resurrect his friends. But
yeah, then the real life thing. Oh yeah, no, you know this like chess piece? She is now a girl. Kiss her. It's so dumb.
It would be so much better if that fucking little twink actually ended up with another guy.
I just hate. It's the same problem I have with Flash Gordon, honestly. Not the fact that it's not gay enough, but like, although like maybe. But I think Flash Gordon has a similar problem, not the same problem, because Flash Gordon is, in my opinion, way better executed. Flash Gordon has like one of the greatest cast of characters in any like one of these high sci-fi fantasy films ever, except Flash Gordon. He's terrible. So like that's the kind of problem you have with like a movie when everyone's great except the protagonist, and you like had to set up the story for the protagonist so much. Flash Gordon like alleviates this because it has like multiple like little sub heroes and stuff like that who all get like really interesting stories. But yeah.
Basically, you have like the fucking whitest bread protagonist ever, and then you kill off everyone else but him, and then have him actually win the day and then get the girl, and it's like...
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't need that. Sorry. We didn't need that.
Like, what happened? Oh, Gormash. Why couldn't Gormash just be that guy? He was better. The dragon, like, the green dragon who, like, becomes him or something like that.
His voice is a little annoying, though.
Oh, it is very annoying, but, like, you know, at least he's a cat. He's something.
He's a dragon.
He's something. He's a
Wow.
dragon. At least he has that to his name.
Wow, did you know I can fly? Wow!
Oh, God.
Now, that all being said, I think we have mined the Flight of Dragons for all it's worth at this point.
Yes, this is the most extensive coverage of the Flight of Dragons you will find on the internet.
Ever.
Barring like just reading the Wikipedia article.
No, we've gone deeper into it because we actually told you about how he's actually an isekai Ben Shapiro twink. So
okay, I want to just before we jump off, I think the idea of having like a very, very great like cast ensemble cast except the protagonist is somewhat prevalent in like mainstream cinema today as well. You could argue the same thing happens in a lot of the Captain America films when Captain America is the most boring part of those movies. Or, despite, like, I quite like Chris Evans as an actor, so I think, like, he portrays the character as well, but, like, he is the most boring part of, like, every Captain America film. And, Mortal Kombat, the recent, like, reboot thing, has actually like somewhat faithfully adapts the video games and brings all the characters back, and then just has Louis Tan, who's a really fun actor who plays like a lot of great martial art role, as the most blandest anchor to that world ever, called Cole Young, a new character made for no goddamn reason, and just drags the entire film down because you have to spend an hour setting him up, and you just don't, and it's not done very well. So it's kind of interesting that it's still a somewhat prevalent problem when you have a great ensemble but not great central presence.
Yeah, that being said, Mortal Kombat streaming now on Max, or whatever the fuck they're calling it right now.
Yes, the sequel's in production for some reason, but yeah.
So, that all being said, we are ready to jump into the next topic, which is, speaking of The Last Unicorn, what about The Last Unicorn, but it's a progressive jazz black metal album? Well, jazz fusion progressive black metal album called The Last by Maru.
Didn't have unicorn in the title. Or was it about a fucking unicorn in any way?
It is literally based on The Last Unicorn.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's the thumbnail of the podcasts. It's in there.
Oh.
Now, it literally has clips from the movie in it.
Oh, I thought it was just like, it's called The Last, so like you just thought like, you can just like, The Last Unicorn minus the unicorn, The Last. Like, but
look at the album art. It's literally got the unicorn fighting against the Red Bull.
Oh, that was for this episode. Oh, fuck's sake. I looked at the wrong thumbnail. Oh god.
You
Say
fool.
la vie, Melody. Say la vie. This is why you don't record so many of these episodes in a batch. You get mixed up.
Yeah, we already went over The Last Unicorn by Rankin Bass last episode, so I understand. Yeah, but maybe we'll revisit it another time. Who knows? But
who knows?
Yeah, this is as you can see, dear viewers, if you've been reading the Bandcamp. I love that about you. You're so smart. You immediately just start reading things. So, this is a very good album. I like it a lot. It does make me feel like a dumbass whenever I'm listening to it. But it is just fantastic.
How? Like,
it's just like the recording and everything, like the performances, the arrangements, the fusion of jazz fusion and black metal, most pertinently, is just like, and then it'll cut into like The Last Unicorn or something. That being said, like, reading this Bandcamp page for the first time did make me cry initially, I think. Or it made me almost cry, I don't remember. But, are you reading it, Dan?
I'm not. I'm gonna look it up.
See, this is why I like this is why you're not the favorite child the audience is. They immediately
where are you going with this?
they immediately cut into reading the Bandcamp page, and then I literally sent you the link and you're just like over there thinking of Patrick H. Willems.
This is the problem. Jesus Christ. This is the problem is you sent me the Bandcamp link, right?
Yes.
I still googled The Last Bandcamp and then came up on a new band called The Last. I'm just reading through their discography. Oh god.
ADHD error spotted.
Hey, I watch 4-hour movies, fuck you. But like anyway.
Did you watch them in the movie theater though? Exactly.
This is one of this.
But yeah, this album's great. go check it out. Now, are you actually reading it this time now?
Yeah. It's about someone who really likes The Last Unicorn and sees as a brilliant parallel between queer and transgender people, and it's quite interesting and somewhat sad.
And did you read the final paragraph of it?
I need to stop before this album ends up looking like a Dr. Bronner's bottle. No, it's probably not that one. The last is dedicated to all transgender people. The world can be an ugly and beautiful place, but it is better because you are in it. You're beautiful and I see you. It's a quite lovely paragraph.
Yes. But yeah, that's just a quick recommendation of it. Recommendation. Like, it's just lovely. I like it a lot.
It does
Now,
look pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. But, would you like to take the floor now, Dan? If that is your real name.
I think it is. I mean, it's been a while. But, alright, so. Speaking of things which were the last something, Heart of Darkness was the last book I finished. Because I started reading Paradise Lost and then got bored of it and stopped. But yeah, Heart of Darkness is a seminal book by Joseph Conrad and is incredibly revered by anyone making anything to do with war. Which is kind of weird because Heart of Darkness isn't really a war book. It's about a man called Marlowe, I think, trying to find Kurtz, who, when that name itself is probably familiar because it's been referenced and used in many different things, most notably Apocalypse Now. And he's trying to find him in the jungle. There you go. So yeah, he's trying to find him in the middle of a jungle, goes on this steamer boat, and eventually does find him and brings him back. But on the way they meet like native people and come into contact with them, and he just seeps deeper and deeper into his own personal Heart of Darkness. And hence title, and it's a very interesting piece of work. I would say it's great, but it does come with the caveat that Marlowe is racist as fuck. And this is 100% intentional, like, the entire book is from his perspective, and that there are no other people like really talking to Marlowe, even though it's implied that he's telling the story to another group of sailors. And so like the first bit of narration is like first person from someone hearing Marlowe's story, but pretty much the entire book is like from that point, just him talking. And yeah, so if like, I think it is somewhat, I don't think it's dated particularly because like it is very clear that like it's Marlowe who's racist and not Joseph Conrad, but I think like it is worth mentioning that like that does prop up quite a bit considering the entire book is about him going to another place and then meeting all these people. And I think it's a genuinely very, very searing book in the way that it just like explores all these topics. I also think, and this is why I wanted to cover it for a Sorta episode, that you kind of don't need to read it at all if you've watched Apocalypse Now, because Apocalypse Now takes the exact same themes and like actually tells a story with them. And I think that it's really interesting to see how modern storytelling takes like themes from older works, which are very dense and very, I won't say non-linear because it is a linear story, but like it's very vignette-y, you know what I mean, Melody? It's like it's not, it doesn't go from point A to point B without going to all these different places first. Apocalypse Now, it is a straight story told right down the middle, which still delves into all the thematic material from the Conrad book without losing any of the depth. And I think it's really interesting to see. Yeah, I think it's just interesting to see how storytelling attitudes are developed, because even like in the early days of cinema, so not too early days of cinema, but like in the 40s, right? Orson Welles, who I'm sure everyone knows from Citizen Kane, wanted to make an adaptation of Heart of Darkness, and he wanted to do it like the book, so in first person about someone going down a steamboat to find Kurtz. He was turned down, and then made a movie called Citizen Kane, which everyone likes now. And then he just never made Heart of Darkness because he's making a ton of money elsewhere and he didn't need to. So, even like back in the 40s, you kind of got the sense that audiences weren't ready to accept something so vignette-y. And I think it shows how, like, when the movie was eventually made by Milius and Francis Ford Coppola into Apocalypse Now, George Lucas was about to make Apocalypse Now, fun fact, before he made Star Wars. So when he made Heart of Darkness, he stripped all of like the thematic noodles of him going into the forest and like meeting all these people, calling a bunch of the locals the N-word 50 times for no goddamn reason, and but like still kept the story intact and then still explored the actual, like, you know, what it means to be alive stuff really, really well, while transporting the tale to Vietnam. And I thought, like, all of that, like, just, it's an interesting way to, like, see how storytelling is developed in that way.
Yeah. What would you say of Spec Ops: The Line? Considering that
I would
is...
say I only played a little bit of it at a friend's house, so I cannot tell you.
It is a direct adaptation of The Heart of Darkness, but I don't know about if it's more or less episodic in nature. But that would make more sense with a video game that's level-based, for it to be kind of vignette-esque. So I can't speak to that, but I think that that graphs on well medium, like as a medium. Because it's also like a novel has chapters, but a movie doesn't have chapters per se, at least not intrinsically. Like, it doesn't have that built into the fabric of the medium. You'd have to, like, deliberately be like, yeah, we're gonna, you know...
I mean, video games have levels, right? But do you think levels work the same way as chapters do? Because
they
not
can.
necessarily. They can, yeah. But, like, I think you had to put the same amount of effort to turning a video game, like, episodic as you would a movie in that sense, because movies have scenes, and you could, like, very well just turn, like, 3 scenes, like, every 3 scenes tell a different story or something like that, because I just watched a film called More American Graffiti, which is a sequel to American Graffiti, which I don't want to go into because it's complicated. And one thing that film did very well was tell 4 different stories, like, at the same time, by just cutting between them as you would in, like, God of War Ragnarok, with the way it tells 2 stories between Kratos and Atreus by just he plays Kratos, now he plays Atreus, plays Kratos, he plays Atreus again, and that's kind of how that film works, but does it 4 different, and that's kind of how Heart of Darkness works in the way it just has like all these incidents on the river in sequential order, but like very very fragmented incidents.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you can definitely still have like a vignette-esque story, like vignette storytelling in a movie, but it's not something that's kind of built, like, there's not a built-in thing for it necessarily. Like, scenes you can, but that's also kind of like having different areas in an open world game, I would say, because you don't have like that built-in cutoff like levels would, right? Like, you have a chapter end, you have a level end, but you don't really have, like, a scene end, because... I mean, you can, but you
have to, like, make that decision creatively. It's not built in.
Yeah, like, it would be just by having levels, you know?
Yeah. Is there anything you've been reading recently, Mel?
Well, I haven't been reading it recently, but I would love to recommend a comic that I love quite a lot by the name of KAIJUMAX. Now, this is a comic by Xander Cannon. He did, I believe, all of the writing, the art, and the lettering, but I may be misremembering. There may be a because I think he does lettering just in general. Let me see if we can't pull up an official preview of it or something. That's what I'm trying to pull up right now.
Yeah.
Let me see. Now this has ended. I'm trying to see it because it's not popping up. Maybe on Simon & Schuster's website. Do they have a preview of it? Yes, they do. Let's go. Now, I'm gonna pop this over into the Discord. Now, I haven't finished reading it. I should really do that. But this is one of the best, comics of the past 10, 20 years, I would say. Like, it's just fantastic. Like, the writing is amazing in KAIJUMAX. The art is terrific. I love the character design for the main character, Electrogore. This orange filler here. On the front cover. But it also just goes to some fucked up places, like, where it's just constantly edge of your seat kind of shit, where it's like, holy shit, that character did that to that character, that kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, what's the general tone of KAIJUMAX? Is it like a Godzilla film, or is it like more of a stand-up of it?
It's send-up. It's more kind of like prestige television, kind of like, like, oh god, you actually fucking went there, kind of shit. Not in a gross out kind of, but like, oh god, It's just very, very good. I'm trying to show more, previews of it. But yeah, it's just incredible. Like, the art's fantastic, the dialogue is very evocative, It's just excellent.
Yeah. I need to read. You recommended KAIJUMAX like back in the comic versus days, so like borderline 10 years ago. I still haven't read it. So
yeah,
I shall read it at some point.
This is your mistake. Your grave error. DM me your location and we will resolve this in time.
Oh, give me a sec.
Thank you. You're a good friend.
Yeah.
But
Alright. Yeah, KAIJUMAX. I can't comment on it. Obviously, I've only ever seen Melody post about it quite a bit back in the day, and like it did always look amazing, and as you can tell, the covers look great as well.
Yeah, it's terrific. It also sends up like Ultraman and shit like that as well. With like, it's basically like, what if Godzilla was a prison breakout comic? Bam. Like, you gotta read it if you're a fan of like kaiju movies and shit. Absolutely. It's phenomenal though. Like, even if you're not super into kaiju shit, you'll find a lot to love with just like the writing of it and the art. It's outstanding. But yeah, so would you like to move on to the next topic?
We could indeed. Next topic is video game which has nothing to do. I was thinking of like some kind of segue into like monsters breaking out of prison, but like
It's art.
Chicory. It's paint. It's a painting game where you play as a dog. It's not quite as, you know, oh look, there's a monster kind of thing.
You could say it's like on a similar level of artfulness. Chicory, A Colorful Tale.
I mean, yeah, but like the thing about Chicory's entire premise is that you're the artist, and believe me, Melody, my art in that game was not on the level of KAIJUMAX.
But the game itself is.
I don't give them bad ideas, but like, yeah. Anyway, Chicory, very very fun game. Melody kindly gifted me the Game Pass for a month or two. Or three. Can't actually.
It was a 3-1, I think.
Yeah, it was a while. It was a long time. And over that time, I managed to play Chicory, and it was terrific. It's by the developer of Wondersong. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting their name, but
Wishes Limited is the new name of it.
oh, there's a new name.
Yeah, originally it was just like they just went by Greg Lobanov, and then like all of the individual developers on it. A Shell in the
Finji,
Pit.
that's the thing. Finji. But like Finji
No.
is a publisher, not a developer.
Yeah, Finji didn't even touch Wandersong. Greg Lobanov was the developer of Wandersong.
I see. Yeah. But yeah, Wandersong and Chicory, same developer, and very, very similar games. Both are games of self-expression where you as a player get to create your own art in the game, which helps you develop through the storyline. Wandersong is music, and Chicory it's painting, or like digital artwork, essentially. And I will say that both games are not as I don't know. I don't think they're completely successful as like the genres that they're slotted into, but they're very, very successful as the games that they've been designed to be, which is not the genre. It's a genre that kind of making themselves with like the art creation plus, you know, in this case of Chicory, it's like that dungeon crawling like RPG kind of feeling, or in the case of Wandersong, it's a platformer. They're not very good at like the traditional genre elements of those, but they're very, very good when you add into that like little mixture, the art creation. You add in the painting, and Chicory gives you so much expression, and it's just a very, very lovely time to play through. In Wandersong, just like messing around with the music or like dancing while conversations are going on is just so fun. You can just like imagine everyone getting so pissed off with you in game, just like, what is he doing while they're talking to you, and you're just like nodding along. It's great. But yeah, I think Chicory is great. I'm not sure which one I prefer, to be honest. I love both of them. I think I'll probably go to Chicory because maybe just for the soundtrack, which is a bit ironic considering Wandersong is like literally about music and all that. But
well, the music and the music in Chicory is by Lena Raine, which does give it an obvious edge.
Yeah, I mean, in case you don't know the name, she did Celeste and Minecraft and apparently Deltarune. I thought Deltarune was mostly Toby Fox, but apparently she helped on Deltarune as well.
And also,
but, yeah.
Esk. I've not heard.
Also what?
I don't remember this game, but it's ESC like Escape. Apparently, she's the developer of it.
That, you know.
It's an interactive
she actually
novel.
made it.
Yeah, she's the developer of it. Yeah. I need to buy that. Why have I not bought?
There you go. But yeah, so Chicory is great. It also brings to mind like other ways games which are in very traditional genres use more non-conventional forms of player expression, which is like goes beyond combat. And I think you can make an interesting link, Mel, which I'm not sure if you agree with, between Chicory and Death Stranding.
I've not
Because-
played Death Stranding, so I cannot comment or, correct you on your tomfoolery.
Okay, which is good. So I can go on for a few more minutes. Because Death Stranding is very famously a game where you walk around a lot. Even if you haven't played, you're probably aware by now. It's a game with like very very big world, and fast traveling is an option, but like the entire selling point of the game is, you go from this point to that point. Now you have to walk or use like these powered like vehicles, but the vehicles don't go on forever, so you do have to actually like just walk for a long time. And what Kojima did is add a mechanic to just walking by having to balance the weight on your back by like mashing the L2 and R2 triggers, or LT and RT if you will. And I think just adding a bit more complexity to regular third-person movement in like a third-person action game, because Death Stranding is another example of like a game which is a third-person action game. It's not a particularly good one. Like the gunplay is pretty bad for like one of these games. The stealth isn't like the best in a Kojima game, but it has that added mechanic, and it just makes moving and engaging with the system so much more engaging. It makes you more immersed into that world and makes it a much more interesting time. So I think like I kind of wish more developers took risks like that. But I also see why they don't, because like I can't imagine, a game like Sekiro getting much better by mashing L2 and R2 whenever you're moving from one place to another, you know what I mean? But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's a very interesting like concept to build a game around. In both like an indie case like Wandersong or Chicory, or like in a AAA case like Death Stranding. And I kind of wish we saw more of that, even though I understand why it's so uncommon.
Yeah. I will say, in terms of your previous note about not feeling like Chicory does, pulls off like the design that you were going for.
Yeah.
The genre that it's slotted
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
Chicory is not sold as being a dungeon crawler, though. It's
I mean like an adventure RPG kind of thing.
but it's set as a
And it
top-down
does have
adventure
dungeons in
game.
it.
It does
Yeah,
have
but it does
dungeons
have
in it,
dungeons in it.
but it's more kind of like the puzzling. I think that's more just kind of like the affectation of it. It is set at more as like a puzzling or a painting adventure game.
Yeah, but okay. Personally, though, I think the puzzling, like those dungeon parts, are the like least interesting bits of the game. They are the parts where they're trying to hit the genre thing, and it's just not working. Wandersong had that with platforming as well. It's just like,
But you're bad
it's
at platforming,
whenever
so
it's
can
not.
we trust you?
Yeah, this is, oh, you raise a great point. You raise a good point. I'm also very bad at just looking at things, so the puzzle bits weren't very easy at Chicory either. But yeah, I don't know. I think even if it's not successful, like in my opinion, it's not completely successful at slotting into genre stuff because of its added like element with the painting and the fact that it's so well integrated into like everything you do in that game, right? I don't only think it gets a pass. I think like it's a great example of what like other developers should try and do in their own like like even if you do have a game which is like very deeply in its genre, like I would love to see a Souls-like, for instance, where the energy bar is spent in a different way and it's spent in a way that you have to engage with it and like keep it up a bit more. I think Neo kind of does something similar. I only played Neo for a little bit. I don't think it got to that part, but like it has a mini game where you regenerate the stamina that you lose in an attack, and I think like that's really cool. So like small little tweaks to these bits of game design that have been with us for like 30 years, right? I think now is the time to start like, experimenting with the form a little bit. beyond just like adding new weapon types or adding even yeah, I think it's just like tweaking what we already have or making it more engaging, like what Chicory, Wandersong, Death Stranding, and like other games do as well. Hi-Fi Rush is a great example as well. I think the way it incorporates rhythm into like every aspect of its gameplay, including the combat. I haven't played Hi-Fi Rush. I've only seen streams of it, but like that's a similar concept they do.
I will say something worth noting with Wishes Unlimited, the developers of Chicory and Wandersong. They have a new game coming out this year called BEASTIEBALL, which is kind of like Pokemon Volleyball, which I've been showing off on here just because I didn't want to keep restarting the Chicory trailers on Steam. Which it looks gorgeous. It's published by Clay. Which
okay, this game looks really cool.
Yeah, considering Clay is Clay, unsurprising that it looks gorgeous as hell. And with it being by Wishes Unlimited? I think it's Wishes. Yeah, Wishes Unlimited.
Yeah, Wishes.
Now on Kickstarter. I don't believe you. I think it was on Kickstarter, but isn't currently. That was true. Unless it's been on Kickstarter for 6 months.
Oh god, I love the Wikipedia description of Beastie Ball. It's an upcoming monster taming sports adventure game.
Yeah.
How about that?
This is one of my most anticipated games of the year, so if it sucks, I will be sad. But I don't believe it will. I believe it will be at the very least interesting.
I mean, they're keeping Lena as composer, so at least the music's gonna be good.
Yeah, and if the music sucks, I will die inside.
But yeah, on that note, is there anything else you want to talk about, Melody?
No, I'd rather just die inside knowing that I've recorded another video with you.